Missing someone, love with all your heart. Missing someone, love with heart.
What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. In this week's episode I'm going to show you how I like to do a solid retouch. So this is good if like a client has like a full bleach and tone, or in this case we're just doing the front money piece, so around the hairline, and she's waited about like a year to kind of retouch the root here. And we are trying to get it as light as we did last time, which in my opinion would be like a level 9 or 10. We're going to be putting like a purple on top of it, so I want it to fade evenly and nice and pastel and pretty, so that is why we're going to be lifting it as light as we are, even though we're going to be using a darker, more vibrant tone. So for my products, I'm using the Pulp Riot Cream Bleach, and I'm just going to be using 20 volumes since it's just the front hairline. And the way that I like to mix the cream bleach together is I like to do it 1 to 1.5 with developer, and this is going to give me a nice creamy consistency so that my foils don't slip, but it's not too thick to where it's like too pasty. So I feel like the 1 to 1.5 ratio is a really good consistency for this type of application. If you guys haven't tried the Pulp Riot Cream Bleach, it is super gentle, and I love that it just stays put wherever you put it. It doesn't ever like expand, which is really important, crucial for this type of color change, because naturally this client, I would say, is about a level 3. It's pretty dark, and her hair texture, her hair is on the finer side, so you want to be extremely careful with this type of hair texture when you're trying to get it basically to a level 9 and 10. So I needed something that was going to be gentle yet give me full control. So I feel like with the cream bleach I have full control as to where it is and where it stays put, because it never expands. Other than doing like a long overdue retouch like this, it's also really great for bleach and tones. I also like that the cream bleach is white. I feel like whenever I use a lightener that is blue and I'm trying to get someone to a level 9 and 10, sometimes the blue cast can trick my eyes a little bit. But with the cream bleach, since it's white, it's really easy for me to tell exactly what level it is. And whenever you're lifting to a level 10 especially, it's a matter of minutes whether it could be like over processed or not level 10 just yet. So the cream bleach, it's just a safe color for me to know exactly when it reaches to like a level 10. So generally if I'm doing any type of like platinum or it's solid like this, I do use it because it's just easy for me to tell, and it's also just really gentle. I feel like out of any lightener that I've ever used, I feel like this one is probably the most gentle, or like maybe in the top 3 most gentle lighteners that I've ever used, and I do like it. I do find though that even though it is gentle, some people have said that they can have a reaction. Again, this could just be because they're not used to this type of bleach, or this bleach is just a little bit different from other ones, but some people do say that it's more gentle on the scalp than others. So I think it just depends on the client, and since every client is obviously different, it just can vary, even though it is supposed to be more on the gentle side. So when doing this type of application, I am using foils, and you can tell by now that I'm taking very thin slices, slices that are thin enough for me to see through them, because I want to have an even application. Like I said before, this lightener doesn't really expand, so if you don't put enough product, it won't lift evenly. And as I'm painting down, I'm kind of feathering down to that line of demarcation. I'm being super careful using like pretty much the tip of the brush to kind of feather it down, because whenever you have a client that has overgrown roots, it does grow out unevenly, like the hair. So that line of demarcation, the longer the client waits, can become more jagged and uneven. It's not a totally straight line like it would if they came in 6 weeks. So it can be tricky to retouch that because the line isn't as straight. So to help with any type of overlapping or just over processing, anything like that, because that line is so like feathered down, I do use conditioner to use it as like a barrier between the lightener and the rest of the blonde. So I'll apply the lightener and make sure that I'm fully saturating and kind of feathered down to that line. And then I'm going to add conditioner. And for me, I personally like using the Pulp Bright Tokyo conditioner. It's like thin enough to where it's really easy to paint on and it doesn't get like clumpy or feel too thick or creamy. It's like a really good, I would say on the thinner side of a conditioner, and it just goes on really well and is able to apply pretty quickly when doing this type of application. So another thing that I want to mention is that I'm not folding out my foils wherever the lightener is. Laying a foil completely flat whenever you're applying the lightener does create an even application. I feel like if I were to fold up the foil, one, it might move the hair around, it might move the product around, and then it might get onto the previous blonde. And then the other reason is because if I fold the foil where her roots need to be lightened, sometimes that creates unevenness because it moves the lightener around, and then sometimes you can get warm spots from where the folds are. So generally whenever I do any type of foil work, I try to just leave my foils flat so that everything can lift as even as possible. So once I'm done with the whole application, I do put her under the dryer because whenever the hair is in foils, I would say about an inch or two of the root does get a bit warmer and have more heat from just her normal body heat. So to kind of get that even lift, I put her under the dryer so that the ends of the foils, since her roots are so long, can get some heat as well and they can lift a little bit more even. And again, our goal is to reach her to almost like a level 9 and 10 to get her as even as possible. So when her foils were ready, we did pull them out and then kind of like married them all together and had them processed before they were completely ready. And so after her foils were all done, we washed her and blow dried the front so that we could apply the Pulp Bright Semi, and we are going to be using Deviant and Velvet for her purple around the money piece. So we've already dried her hair completely in the front where we're putting the purple, and I'm just taking very thin slices and rooting the purple first, and then after I pretty much root the purple, I just go in and apply, and I'm taking very thin slices, just making sure that I'm fully saturating because with the Pulp Bright Semis, they are that consistency to where if you don't fully saturate, you can definitely miss some spots. So I like to take very thin slices to prevent any of that. But I do go back in later and cross-check and make sure that I got everything. And by doing that, I just kind of go into the hair, spread it apart, and see if I've missed any spots. So since I see this client maybe like once a year for her color, I'm going to be sending her home with some color so that she can refresh it. And I like to give this option to my clients because I find that even if I don't give them color, sometimes they might do their color at home, and I would rather have them use the products that I use than buy something else that might be hard for me to get out later in the future. So I always offer, whenever I do a creative color, if a client wants like a color balm or something to kind of help refresh the tone at home, because I do know that these colors fade extremely fast. Like for a color like this, it would probably last her maybe like a month and a half before it's like really faded out and needs a retouch. So I just generally like to offer that to my clients because I know if for them to like it, they're gonna want to refresh it, and I'd rather have them refresh it with good products than find something like on Amazon or just like randomly at Sally's or something. But yeah, I gave her some color to help refresh it at home, and I probably will see her in another year to retouch that root again. Alrighty guys, so here is the finished look. We cut her bangs again and gave her a nice beautiful fresh trim. I love how well this purple pops against her natural hair color. Everything behind the purple is actually her virgin hair, so you can see how dark her hair naturally is, and then it's incredible how light that cream bleach was able to get her so that we could do such a vibrant purple. So like I said before, this is going to fade out probably, I would say, in like 6 to 8 weeks. And then when it's fully faded out, she'll probably just refresh it with the color that I sent her home with. And once it fully fades too, this color generally just fades back to blonde. Alrighty guys, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. And as always, I will talk to you guys next week.